All right, so talk for me again so I can hear you.
Talk to me again so I can hear you.
Hi, my name is Kayleigh. I'm gonna talk like I'm Southern. Hey, hi y'all. Welcome to the More Laws, More Problems show. We're gonna talk today about the Denver airport and all the art there in the airport.
You
La
know who you
la
sound
la la. Hey everybody, welcome to another More Laws, More Problems video. I'm gonna actually remember to say it. If you're watching this video, hit the like button, all right? Hit it, subscribe wherever you are, share this video. Here's a nominal idea, post it on your Facebook page and say, look at this crazy person in front of stars in the sky, and he's sitting here talking about like he knows what's going on, and I have no idea. But we're just here to create some entertainment for you. So make sure you hit that like button, share, subscribe, and I have a guest today, but I want to open up with a quote. Let's do this. I'll switch it over so we can see her. Oh, where did she go? There we go. Hey, Kayleigh. Hi. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Well, this is my friend Kayleigh. We tried recording and it didn't work out. She's on the other side of the world, unless you believe the world is flat. But anyway, she's in Australia. So she's under us, either way. And she's another occult researcher, a fellow occult researcher. So I wanted to bring her on because lately we've been talking about a lot of other stuff, obviously current events, but I wanted to get away from that and talk about something else. But it might correlate back into that. But anyway, we're going to start today with a quote. If I could find that quote, here it is. That's not it. I'm just stalling until I could find the right quote. Wow, there's so many quotes here. All right, here we go. Gender isn't everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all the planes. And that's from the Kabbalion. And the reason I wanted to read that quote was because we're going to be talking about different masculine and feminine energies and properties. And we're not going to be just talking about here in the physical realm, such as Kayleigh and myself. We're going to be talking about also the spiritual realm, or just the unseen, the forces within inside us, the creative forces. You can look at this from the right brain, left brain, masculine, feminine, stuff like that. I think you'll see as we go along, but I just wanted to open up with that. So anyway, hey Kayleigh, how's it going on the other side of the world? How you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you, considering the circumstances that's
Yeah,
going on, lockdown and
I
COVID.
know.
But
Can you
why?
believe all the aliens are just invading us? Isn't it crazy? No, I don't know. Just in case there is an alien invasion, I'll nail it. I was the first one to say it. Yeah, no, I hear you. It's definitely some strange times. I could say that for sure. And I think it goes perfect for what we're going to be talking about today. Because what are we going to be talking about today, Kayleigh?
So we're going to be talking about the art at Denver Airport, and not only the art, but we're going to talk about how the symbology in the art and the statues and everything else is there, such as gargoyles, can be depicted and what we can take from it and what we think it means, really.
Awesome. All right. I was just fixing you a little bit on the screen here. So let's get started here. I'm going to bring up. This is just an article that we're going to cover later. So the first image that we want to. That's wrong. Okay, the first image we want to bring up is. So you can't see it, but I just brought up the image of the gentleman with the sword that's marching around. So what were your initial thoughts when you saw this?
I was just really confused, just because basically it shows a kind of, I call him the military man, but it's kind of like very old fashioned wartime clothing, would you say?
Oh, yeah.
So I was just a bit confused by that, but also this I was confused by how you can have a rainbow and a dove in the same picture as someone wielding a sword and a gun, and there's people crying and dying. I was confused.
And that's the thing too, to put it up in an airport. So what were your initial, like, when you found out about this whole thing? What were your initial thoughts on it, and how did you find out about this? Because you kind of alerted me to this. This is something that I might have seen before. I think it really rang a bell, but I couldn't quite remember seeing it. And I've been to Denver Airport, so I mean, I might even walk by it and just looked at it and been like, "Wow, that's crazy." So what drew you into this?
Do you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I can't remember. It was years and years ago. Me and my ex partner were talking about it, and we were like, "Isn't this really weird?" And then we had a conversation last time we tried to record. Do you remember last week?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And you said something to me, and I said, "Well, you remind me of a painting I saw at Denver Airport, which I've never really spoken much about, you know?" So then we kind of brought it up, and we were trying to go through it. And I've just decided to sit at home and look at it a bit more, and look into it and write down everything that I take from it. But I feel as though there's so many meanings to some of the things.
Yeah. What stuck out first to you with this? I have the painting up on the screen so everyone can see it. I would say maybe the sword. I guess that's kind of what sticks out to me.
Yeah, I think for me it was the crying people. It looked on a bridge. I was just confused by that. It's very sad.
And so, what did you take that to mean?
Oh, it looks like death and destruction and misery, really, doesn't it? If I'm honest.
Well, I mean, oh, so yeah, no, that's well for me. If I'm gonna look at it, it does look like this force that's swinging in, but the people that are the ones that are crying and watching, it looks like they might be either the ancestors or maybe future generations. It's kind of like they're viewing this from another place. They're looking at it from a portal. So if you just think about it as time and space, maybe these are just the people, our ancestors, that knew eventually this would happen if we fell into or whatever's being depicted here in the art. They knew it was going to happen if society fell into disrepair.
Yeah, that's something I didn't think about actually. But they do look like parental figures, don't they? They're older, and there's a woman with a baby, and you could be right with the ancestor thing, and these are definitely children, which are on the other side of the wall in the coloured clothing, and I feel like the children are in coloured clothing, and they look more kind of newer than the people in the brown clothing. Would you say?
Oh yeah, for sure. So what that also can represent, all the people that are standing on the edge of this, we'll call it a portal, could represent just the feminine energy, the sacred feminine. Because if you think of this soldier coming through, he could be the sacred masculine or just masculine energy kind of gone awry, because he is wielding a sword, and it seems that the sword is cutting down the dove, and the dove is another symbol for the for the feminine. It's all in goddess symbolism, but the dove is huge for that. So he's actually striking it down with a sword, and swords represent logic, they're air. If you think of like the tarot, so that's what the masculine energy really is all about. It's what it embodies. So maybe it's just the negative use of that. If you go too hard, you are going to crush the feminine in society, and then you could see what it's leading to. Because if you look at the swoop of his sword, it looks like it cut the buildings in half too. So that sword is what is actually creating the damage.
That's actually true. And did we say also last time when we were looking at the building, you said it reminds you of a tarot card?
Yeah, it reminds me of the tower. And if you look at the tower card, what I guess I could bring that up while we're talking. If you look at the tower, it just symbolizes the destruction, and it's it's kind of like if you think of the Bible story of Babylon. The the Tower of Babel, when people just were trying to rival God, so they built this giant tower, and they were trying to build it up to the sky, and eventually the story goes God got mad and took a thunderbolt, whatever, and just destroyed the tower and sent people running in all directions. And that story really reminds me of the tower card itself, because if you look at the symbol, it's a tower and it's built on the top of a mountain. So if you think of a mountain, maybe that's the natural limit where God created. So that's where men should go. They shouldn't, it's kind of like a symbol. Obviously, we could build on mountains if we want, but this is what they're trying to symbolize. They're trying to symbolize the bottom, this top of the mountain is where, man, that's as far as they need to go. We don't need to rival the gods in heaven. So these people thought they had to. They built this giant tower. And then if you look at the top of it, there's this lightning bolt that comes in and strikes it, and it knocks that crown off, and the masculine and feminine both fall to the ground. But it doesn't have to be something that's negative. It could just symbolize a time for a change, and that's what I tell people, that it's something that's like starting over again. It's just like a cycle. So Yeah, that's that
100%.
tower can symbolize that, especially the sword swooping through. I'm trying to get it on camera, swooping through, because then it'll it's like the masculine energy gone awry, and that's what's destroying literally the civilization there, and that's why the kids are cowering, and the feminine is like, oh, they're all sad because they're all dead or whatever.
100%. I did actually do some research on the artist. He's actually called Leo Tanguma, and this painting is actually called "Children of the World Dream of Peace." That's what he titled it. And I also have a look at the rainbow, and because we were trying to figure out what the rainbow meant. So when I had a look at it, a couple of things did come up, and like you say, there's positive and negative things that you could take from this piece of art. It doesn't all have to be negative. It's pretty hard to not be negative with crying people and dying children, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
no, I hear you.
so when I had a look actually what the rainbow could signify, I actually found a few things. So rainbows are a symbol of equality, peace, and hope. I did figure out like a rainbow has 7 colors, and 7 is a highly spiritual number. It's considered a divine number. It's a number of completion. Also signifies inner wisdom. I did want to ask you, what does number 7 mean in the tarot? Do you have any idea about that?
Yeah, so number 7 in the tarot is the chariot, and so it really embodies, if you look at the here, I'll pull it up while we talk, because symbolism really speaks for itself, and that's what I like to tell people when oops, I hit the wrong one. That's what I like to tell people. That's why I like symbolism. I get into it because words can be changed, and that's the problem. Is that throughout time, what did I say, the chariot? Throughout time, words get changed and obfuscated. Just think about the word bad, okay? Take the word bad. What does that mean? Yo, my clothes are bad. Like, look at my music. It's bad. Or is it good? Or does that mean, maybe that's a bad example, because that's a bad example, because that's old. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. But with symbols, I always tell people that everybody gets their own interpretation of the symbol, because you look at it and it speaks to you. It's like a mirror. So here's I pulled up the chariot card for everyone to see, and it's a guy in a chariot. And if you look down at the bottom, there's 2 different sphinxes. One's black, one's white, and then they have similar headdresses on, and it's just like the yin and the yang. So it represents that masculine and feminine coming together and moving throughout the world. It could be the 3-4, but there can always be the negative angle of it. So if you look at this picture, oh wait, I'm not even, yikes, hang on, sorry everybody. Oh yeah, oh, I see what I did. I put it in place of you. That's all right, people can still see it. So if you look at let me just bring this back to what I want. This is you, right? Okay, and then bear with me, everybody. So if you look at, here it is. Nope. Yep. I'm so good at this, guys. You don't even know. Okay. If you look again at the picture, the rainbow is there, but the colors start to fade out. So I kind of think it signifies that, yeah, you can use the sword, and maybe originally he had the sword out and it was going to be used for good, and that was the original intent. And it was like, hey, look, we're going to use this sword for peace and equality. And what happened as they started to swing it, and as it moved along, it lost the feminine. The feminine's there in the bottom. It's crying. It's all just masculine, and it was too perverted. And that's
Well, I was a
what
bit
caused it to
confused
unpack.
by the wisp coming away from the rainbow, because I did think it was a sword as well. But if you look at the dead children, the bottom, the wisps come from the first child in the lilac little shroud or blanket, and goes all the way up into the sky. Now, rainbows can be depicted as the bridge between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. So I was thinking, if these children died and, been killed in some sort of war, or, because they say, oh, pets cross the rainbow bridge after death. Is that kind of what this is saying in this painting? Because when I did some further research into rainbows, I found they had dark meanings as well. And I didn't know this, but actually, in Norse mythology, a rainbow served as a bridge between the mortal and immortal casualties of war where they would cross. Okay. And then when I researched more, in Hindu mythology, a rainbow is associated with war when Indra, god of war, shoots arrows from the rainbow. There's another war association with a rainbow. I also saw in Sumerian mythology, a mass of colours like the rainbow are linked to the divine sanction of war. So I actually found quite a dark side to rainbows. And if we look at the guy, he's dressed in military clothing, like, like he's going to war. And the last thing that I kind of found was Christianity. And obviously a Bible appears after the Great Flood. And the Great Flood was created on earth to cleanse the world from good and evil. So I was kind of like, is the rainbow these children dying from some sort of cleansing or war, with the military guy?
Yeah, I like that. And if we put it together, I didn't. You don't have more to say. Am I cutting you off?
No, it's working.
Okay. All right. Oh no, I didn't know if I cut you off if you were still talking. But if we put that together, that works beautifully because it represents the reason why the military guy. So he is actually the one who's killing these children, or what he's doing is killing, because you can see the bricks and they're living in rubble. So even if he's not directly killing them, his actions are killing them. So even if they started out as a noble action, you're right. The rainbow, it's a symbol for that transformation. So it is going to kill them and bring them up, and it's the sword that caused it. So yeah, I love that. Wow, that's great. That's crazy. I didn't know that about rainbows.
Yeah, me either. Because we are led to believe that they're, a good symbol. If you see them in the sky, there's a pot of gold at the end, or if you see them in the sky, it's a lovely, warming, heartfelt message from God. But then, actually, there's a lot of dark sides to rainbows. I was like, what?
And think about this. They've been using rainbows lately to symbolize your support for medical personnel. And what are medical personnel? If you think of it in that context, they are kind of ushering people from one side to the other, people that are dying. So, I mean, listen, everybody. I mean, this just could be conspiratorial, but I'm saying, there's symbols. Some people look at them different ways than you do. That's all we're saying. Go ahead.
But the butterfly, what is it now? The Monarch Butterfly. That looks like a cute little orange butterfly, but it's actually got a dark meaning for MK Ultra mind control programming, right? So.
Well, yeah, because the butterfly symbolizes change. Like, usually it's a positive change that it symbolizes, right? Think about the caterpillar and everything it has to go through, and then the cocoon, it has to go through the dark stage. So if you think about even going back to Hermeticism or Egypt, it's the underworld, the cocoon, then it comes out as a butterfly. But then it could be used in a negative way. For mind control, for example, somebody's the cocoon, they're their normal person. They're a caterpillar. They're their normal person, and then somebody comes along, an outside influence, and causes them to go into their own cocoon. Let's say it's like a negative fear thing, so they go inside and they get withdrawal, then they have a change too. And when they come out, they are a butterfly, but it's just a different output. If you put good stuff, it's like ingredients. If you're making meatballs, man, if you use nice grass-fed beef, they're probably going to be delicious. I don't know, because I quit eating meat. Yeah, but if you use like garbage rotted meat, what's going to happen? Rancid beef, you're going to have gross, disgusting hoof and mouth disease. But anyway, so is there anything else you wanted to say about this particular painting before we move to the next one?
Before we move on, I did want to say there are some scrolls at the bottom right of the painting. I cannot zoom in on that for it to gain clarity and read it. I was just wondering what that symbolized, and it looks like the people are actually walking away from it. If you look at the ladies in the brown clothing, it looks like they're walking away from there. When you see her foot, it just seems a little. I've got no idea what that could be. I just noticed it, and I thought that's a little bit interesting.
Yeah. I'm like super zoomed in on it. I don't think it's actual words. It's just an edict. So maybe it could represent a lot of things. It could represent man's law, because if you think of natural law you don't have to write down, it's in nature. And then when man thinks that they could write law, that's when they go afoul. Afoul. Sorry, I got a little.
And they walk away from that, so yeah.
Or not that
Uh,
they moved away from. Maybe it was the cause. You know, the man's law is what's written, and then it's like away from. Or yeah, I mean, it could have several different meanings. And hey, listen, if you're watching this, somebody right now, and you're listening, let us know what you think in the comments below, and please like and share.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but seriously, we want to get because we're going to be probably revisiting these and talking about them again. All right, so let's move on to the next photo, shall we? And this one is now what we're going to look at next is the picture of the forest on fire. What do you think? Want to look at that one next?
Yeah, that's the one I've got up next to. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, I pulled that one up on the screen, and then I will try to zoom in it for people. So you go. Oh no, I think it zoomed in all the way. All right, so this one is really intense. So you see, oops, I clicked the wrong thing. Sorry, everybody. Yikes. So you see a giant fire in the background. Ah, man. Sorry, I'm the worst at this, everybody. Let me see if I can fix it. All right. They don't make it easy with these tabs, I tell you what. There we go. Okay, so fix this in editing. We'll fix it in post. All right, so we're back on this picture. So you see a giant fire in the background, and it looks like the forest. There's a fire coming toward everybody, and there already is death in this photo. We see like a dead, looks like a cheetah. There's an actual person in a coffin, and then if you go to the bottom of there's to the right, there's another child in a coffin. In the middle, it looks like maybe some kind of it's all like feminine, right? Different colors, and I think that's supposed to represent all just the different types of feminine energy. And then you have different animals like the sea turtle, and then we have this woman running away, and she has a penguin in a box, and then there's another guy with another bird in a box, and they're all trying to run close here, and it looks like they're making a shrine. Like, so I'm not sure if it's some kind of sacrifice or whatever. But then also on the right you see a buffalo, but it's like a buffalo's head, like a trophy.
Yeah.
And then in the back there's a whale, which I really love that. The symbolism of that, it's great because you see the city in the background. So it looks like the city is actually what's encroaching on the forest. And that's what's causing it. So that could represent, I mean, there's a lot of things that city could represent. You could look at it as because a lot of people say that cities aren't natural, like people aren't supposed to live like that. And I'm not like, trying to shit on cities. I love cities. I love New York City actually, but people just say it's not natural. So that could be symbolize however people are living unnaturally. That's what it could represent, and that's what's causing this destruction in the proverbial forest. What were your thoughts on this, Kayleigh?
Well, last time we did say that it's a bit freaky how we've had the bushfires, and then I saw this picture, so then I was a bit like, oh, could it be that? Because there's a lot of like extinct animals, and they did say that there's going to be like koalas that are. Well, sorry, there will be the koala population is like so small that it's to the brink of extinction. So that's what I thought about it. It's strange how there's a lot of animals in these boxes, like showcase boxes. Would you say like a museum?
Yeah.
So for me, I just kind of felt like it was saying that humanity has caused a lot of destruction, and there's a lot of species that have been lost due to us. But I was just confused by the boy in the coffin. That's one thing that's just throwing me here. I don't understand that. The young boy with the flowers in the coffin.
I think that's a girl because it looks like curly hair to her. See her like to her right hand side, our left.
Yeah. I can see that now. Yeah, okay. So the child,
Yeah.
the girl. That's just one thing that threw me. I just didn't understand. Are we going to kill our own children in this? Is that what that was trying to say?
I think through our actions, that's kind of what's happening. Maybe not our own children, but certainly children in Yemen, children in China. We live this lifestyle here in the West, and you down under in this magical place that probably doesn't even exist. Prove it. But no, I think that we in these first world societies don't realize how our actions affect other people. And it's not like I'm not judging everybody. Obviously, I do it too. Look at the stuff that I use, this computer that I use, I'm sure was made in China. There's nothing we can do about it now except realize where we are and then try to change moving forward. And that's what this is all about. So, people, that's what I think that could be a lot of what's symbolized here is that, you see all this death and all this mourning. But also what I wanted to add was, because you were talking about how they had the animals in the cages and in the boxes, and what that means to me is what if, see how this lady's running and there's a lot of feminine going on and there's children that are also dead. So what I can see this as is that maybe these are people who are misguided and they see what's going on in the world and they're doing what they can to fix it, but what they're doing isn't right because they don't see the true cause of the problem, which is that city in the background. So what they're doing is they're running around and they're trying to conserve things. They're trying to box up stuff and preserve it for humanity so it could either always survive, like maybe in a zoo. And it looks like they're actually literally putting these things at the altar of the dead child and of the dead Mother Earth and of the other dead child on the other side and of the dead animal. So it's kind of like they're using this cause. So it reminds me of people who use causes like these charities. A lot of these charities, especially ones that come out of Haiti, man, you gotta look into this stuff. They look like they're doing a lot of good, but they really aren't. You really got to look into charities. But so we'll use a bad charity, for example. So just say, bad charity X, just a hypothetical bad charity. So they'll say they're doing all these good things, but they're really like grabbing and selling children and putting them into, people into human slavery. It's disgusting, but it happens. Right?
Yeah. 100%,
So this could symbolize that same thing where a lot of people that work in that organization, they think they're doing the right thing. The accountants and money, people that like do all the other work, they don't realize it. It's just the ones behind the scenes that take the money and do evil things with it. So this could symbolize that. And the way to fix that is to just look at the real causes. You have to turn around. All these people are blinded by what's really going on. And what they don't realize is that forest fire is coming and they're all going to burn. And they're all at that altar. But who set that altar up? And is it a sacrifice? Is it a willing sacrifice for somebody who's just watching? And so I think that's a really important lesson when it comes to altruism, when you're going out and you want to try to help people and do good, because it makes us feel better and we need that feeling as humans. But what are you doing and who's set it up and where is it really going? There's really, I think, on the individual level, the people next to us, it's a lot better to connect with them and relate with them and try to do good locally around you, because when you focus things in a large manner like that, it just creates another position of power, seat of power. Now you have a charity with like millions of dollars behind it. It's like, I don't know.
And I think what you said, the thing about people think that they're doing good and with charities, actually, if you think about a zoo, it's the same kind of principle where we're told that a zoo protects the endangered species or species that can't survive in the wild. And people donate to zoos. People do give a lot of money in donations as though it is a charity. I don't think zoos are classed as a charity, are they? But they do receive a lot of donations. People visit and think that they're doing good by helping the animals and things like that, whereas really maybe they're not help. I mean, it depends how you look at conservation, really. If you think it's a good way to conserve the endangered animals, but then why do they have animals that don't need to be in there as an exhibit? Like it could be one of those things like with the zoo. People think they're doing a good thing, like you say.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great analogy because they are doing great things and they are conserving, and it's beautiful work that they're doing. But the bigger work overall is that we need to realize that we need to come together and stop what is causing all this stuff. And it's not just human. The problem is I think it gets demonized and people call it overpopulation. And they say, that's how it is. And I don't really feel that's what it is. I feel that we're just not living in accordance with natural law. And that also has to do with nature. I'm not saying we need to go back to being like hunter-gatherers, although that'd be cool if you can like take a vacation and be a hunter-gatherer for a year. How awesome would that be? But yeah, I think we could live ways closer to the earth. I mean, everybody can have a garden in their yard, or not everybody, but most people, or one guy on the block can have enough for everybody. And then you could do things locally. And that's kind of how I feel we're headed toward that one way or the other. And if we take government handouts, it's going to be bread lines, So we gotta figure that out for ourselves. And if maybe that will never happen, but if it does, it's just a good insurance against it. So anyway, I feel like we're getting off topic here a little bit, but always never, because these are always the great topics. So what else did you want to say about this lovely picture?
Probably just one more thing that I'd like to add is who is the person on the floor in the center of the picture? Because to me, it looks like he or she is holding headdress, and looks to me as though kind of one of the elders of North America. To me, that looks to be the case. So when you think about it, that's like ancient knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like the knowledge of the elders, because it looks like it's like a doll maybe, or like a mask. I can't quite tell, but I see the headdress part of it, and it's like that. It's passing it down, and if you see this figure's head that you're talking about, the center figure, the one that's actually laying there holding this doll, it looks like there's light coming out of the head. So maybe they're not even dead yet. They look like they have a little more life in them than the other ones, and it looks like the eyes are open actually if you look really closely, but it's just white or like light coming out. So
yeah, that's true.
it could represent that spirit leaving that body, and there's nobody to pass it down to. It's kind of like the death of that culture.
Yes, which is quite unfortunate. But it's actually interesting that you say that, because in Australia, that culture were the people who did controlled bushfires and prevented huge fires spreading through, the forests and things like that. I mean, that's why this latest one happened, is because they're not allowed to use that knowledge anymore in the tribes, because the government knows best, right? The government knows best.
Yeah.
Don't do controlled fires. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, so what Kayleigh's talking about, everybody, is the Aboriginal or original people, or the native people to Australia. They would used to do controlled burns all over Australia through the outback. They would do these controlled burns. It was something they would do. It was passed down forever. And then apparently the Australian government stepped in and stopped them from doing it a few years ago. How long ago was it, do you know?
I'm unsure about that, because I've just been here for like 2.5 years. So still learning as much about the history, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll find it. I could find a link and throw it in there, but I remember hearing about this also. So what happened as a result is it looked like there was a lot of overgrowth, and then these fires, pop off. So yeah, when you mess with the land and you mess with the people that have been there forever, they know what's going on. I feel that's kind of what happened in this country also with the natives that were here in the United States. They were probably a little bit better caretakers, and they weren't perfect. Some of them were savages and they used to kill each other, but some of them also had like the Iroquois League. They had like very, very smart modern systems of governance. Even though I'm not like a government kind of person, but it's very decentralized. I would rather live in that society than the one we do now. I feel we'd be much safer as a people with that society. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I like that. That's a great thing you picked up there. So is there anything else you want to bring up before we move on to the next photo?
I'm happy to move on to the next one if you want.
All right, yeah, that's great. So the next one I'm going to pull up is the one where looks like the dead soldier is laying down with two doves on him, and then the entire world is surrounding this guy. You know what I'm talking about?
So I'm on a different one. I've got one with 3 faces. That's not the same one as you are. Let me see. Could you just repeat what one? Sorry, what did you say?
Yeah, sure. It's the one where all the children of the world are coming with the flags and the swords, and there's the soldier laying dead with the 2 doves on him.
I know what one you're talking about. Yeah, I'm just trying to get it up now.
That's fine.
There we go.
There we go. All righty. So just so everybody knows, Kayleigh is from the UK, but she lives in Australia. So we like to make fun of each other's accents. It's something we do. It's great. Yeah. I'm trying to get her to get a better accent, like an American accent. We'll try it later at the end of the show. All right. So this picture is like crazy. I love it, but I kind of, once I realized what it really meant, which I guess I'll say for later, I kind of started to not love it so much. But why don't you talk about this really quick? What were your initial thoughts on this when you saw this?
When I first saw this, I was so bombarded by the colours and bombarded with the colours. I don't know which way you say it. And I also noticed what stood out to me was the military guy was actually dead. He was on the floor. He was grey. He had no colour anymore. So to me, this looked quite positive, and there's lots of, peace flags and things. It looked nice and bright and colourful and positive to me, if I'm honest. How
Yeah,
about yourself?
for sure. When I first saw this, that's exactly what I thought. It reminded me of Ding Dong, the Wicked Witch is dead, right? Ding Dong, the Wicked Witch is dead. That's what it reminded me of. And so, did you? Now, that was your initial thought. Is that what you still think, or upon further inspection, did you change your tune?
No, I haven't changed my tune because when we look at closely the children, they're all holding a sword, and it looks like you said last time that it looks like they're trading the swords in. Do you remember saying that?
Uh huh. Yeah, it said it looks like they're trading in the swords to like bang them into plowshares.
Yes, and you know what? I actually read the artist's explanation for this, and that is 100%. You were spot on. That is what he said is happening in this picture.
Wow, that's crazy. See, guys,
Yeah,
I am a professional when it comes to symbolism. Now, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I
You were
did.
right.
I think I talked about. Let's come back to us here a little bit. There we go. No, I think I talked about last time when I recorded, but the problem was everybody. We made a recording, but for some reason my voice didn't record. But it looks like it's working now, so that's great. So, anyway, that's wonderful. So,
Hi.
what I said last time was, it looks really peaceful, but upon further inspection, I'm going to bring you back in because, yes, we are taking these swords and banging them into plowshares. And that sounds great because we're ending the war. It's world peace. That's what's going on in this picture, right? Oops.
Mm.
Well, but at what cost? What could this really symbolize? Okay, so in the last picture, I talked about how that was like the death of the sacred feminine, right? Because the masculine was coming in. Well, what do we see here? We actually see at the bottom, which is kind of hidden, but it's hidden in plain sight, just like the occult. So this is kind of an occult meaning. You see this dead soldier gripping his rifle, and he's just laying there dead with two doves on the butt of the rifle. So originally he was killing the dove, and now it looks like the doves got their revenge. So there's two doves. So this to me looks like an imbalance now. Okay, it's an imbalance because the masculine is dead, and there's two representations of the sacred feminine because you have two doves. So it's not a healthy mix. And then I'll break down the symbolism even further. If you look at the children, it looks great that the children are running forward to take all the swords and to take the flags that are wrapped up. And what it reminds me of, it looks like they're bringing them to be sacrificed because it looks like a bale of like sticks that you would burn. They're bundled up more like sticks. You wouldn't think of swords like this, right? Who bundles swords? You know, what madman bundles swords and lets kids run? And that's another clue. Who's going to let kids run with swords, guys? I mean, come on, listen. This stuff is not easy, right? They put it in there. In my opinion, it's put in there so you could see it. Who's going to let kids run with scissors? That's a big thing. I don't know about in the UK or Australia, but in the United States, they say, don't run with scissors, right? So it's like right on the nose, okay? That's why I love this because I'm so into puns, so I feel like I could just pick this stuff up. So anyway, back to the picture. You see these kids running. So to me, it looks like they're bringing the swords in the flag. So what do swords represent? Swords represent arms. So think about it as all the civilian arms, all their protections, all their weapons. And then it's wrapped in the flag. What do flags represent? Well, flags represent nationality. So it's taking your national identity with all your arms and your protection that you have and running to the altar of peace and everybody destroying it because we're going to have one big government and it's all going to be ruled under one flag of peace. So you don't got to worry, guys, because they know what's best. So this is what happens when you have the death of the masculine in society and the feminine goes wrong and runs wild. You have what looks like peace, but it's not. It's the kind of peace that everyone's going to live in under communism. It's that they know what's best for us, right? And that's really what I feel what's going on. And if you look in the bottom right corner here, let's bring this in again. The bottom right corner, it says war, violence, hate. And it
Oh,
looks like
really?
that is a wall, and it looks like the guy's dead, and then rainbows emanating out of him, and it circles everybody. And we all just talked about the dark meanings of rainbows. So I think what this represents is just like I said, altruism. People think they're doing the right thing in society, and now they're going to destroy all these things that we have in place. They're going to destroy all these nations. And listen, guys, I mean, if the name of the website underneath here, it says morelawsmoreproblems.com. I'm not into government or anything. I think, obviously, but what I'm saying is I don't think we should just destroy it and leave a vacuum. That is very dangerous. There are other ways to go about that. And I think that's what's going to bring us to our other pictures. But did you want to say anything else about this picture while we were still here?
Yeah, just one last thing.
Yeah.
I did
take your time
earlier on. Symbology with the rainbow, a dark side of it. Dark symbology, dark meanings. And it's funny you should bring that up in this picture when you say it's the death of the masculine, because actually in Satanism, number 7 is a number. Is a number whose number is impossible to attack. Does that make sense? So number 7 is a number whose number is impossible to attack. I hope I'm explaining that right.
Yes. Okay, so what do you mean exactly? Why is it impossible to attack?
Well, it's impossible to attack kind of what's going on with the death of the masculine, and it looks like, the government's kind of got what they wanted, and it's kind of impossible to have attacked what's been going on, is my interpretation of that's how they feel anyway, because they are Satanists, so they feel sort of like, it's impossible to attack us, like, that kind of thing.
Oh, they feel like impervious, or they feel I see what you're saying, they feel invincible.
Yeah, I think that's probably better.
I see what you're saying by the number 7. Okay, yeah, it's just a little. It's because you're from the UK and you're weird. It's all right. Listen, everybody, just deal with it. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, because I say that they're not invincible. That's just what they think, obviously. And if they're setting up this world, and it kind of brings me to current events, because I like to relate what's going on now in 2020 with the misuse of the sacred feminine in society, as I would like to this is something we talked about before, but maybe we could touch on it here a little bit, and it'll go into what we're talking about. Whereas I look at the events that happened in 2001 on September on the 11th more of an attack on the sacred masculine, and the sacred masculine was abused there because everybody was taught to worship the soldiers, and I was in the Marines, and I was in the Marines before, and it was just like, yeah, it was cool, you're a Marine, but like after 9/11 it was like, you're a hero now, and I'm like, well, I knew some people that were in the Marines, and they weren't really heroes, some of them were just average, and some were actually pretty shady. You got to take everybody how they come, but I guess, yeah, sure, let's call them heroes. So anyway, I see that same thing happening now with the sacred feminine in society, because now we're being told to worship everybody in the medical industry, nurses and doctors. And listen, I know a lot of nurses, and I know some doctors, and they're all great people, but I'm sure there's some out there that are some not so great people. You hear these stories of like nurses that like keep people alive, and then they'll all actually really kill them, and like it's terrible stuff that happens. But there are psychopaths that find their way in, so it's dangerous.
Harold Shipman was one of them. Do you ever remember Harold Shipman?
That sounds familiar. Why don't you tell me about it?
The doctor who spent years just like killing people, killing his patients, but he got away with it because he was such a good doctor. He got away with it for years. He was actually a psychopath.
That's what I'm talking about. So we got to be very careful. If you look at the movie Malice with Alec Baldwin, it's like a 90s classic. Look at that movie, for example, But anyway, I digress. So you want to move on? Or is there anything else you want to add to what I had to say about that? You're good?
All right. Yeah.
All right. So the picture I have next is the one where it looks like everybody's running around in joy and happiness, and you have like the what looks like a plant in the center.
Yeah. And it looks like a
chakra.
A dove. Yeah, like a dove, and then the plant, and then there's people crowding around it, and monkeys and woodpeckers and.
Oh my.
Sorry?
I said, oh my, because you're like monkeys and woodpeckers. I don't know, like another Wizard of Oz reference, yes. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. All right, are you ready? That's what we do here on the show. Yeah. So, what did
I
you?
would like to point something out that's just struck me. When we were talking about colours of the rainbow, the seven colours, and we were discussing what the number seven means in different cultures and in tarot and things like that. There is a rainbow in this picture, but actually there's only three colours now. So I'm just wondering if you have any information on what the number three symbolises in tarot or just in general.
Oh, that's a pretty good. So you're talking about like near the bottom where you could see part of the rainbow?
So it's at the top right hand corner in the sky. It's kind of curving around
Oops.
at the top. Hope you're looking at the same picture. Is there a leopard in your picture sat on the grass?
Let me see. I think I see. I might be zoomed in a little too far. Let me just zoom out here. I do. I could talk about the number three. The number three, it means so much in occult. It's a good and bad number, obviously, just like everything we talk about. But
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
normally represents the coming together of the Trinity, and even the Matrix
Yeah.
character named Trinity was kind of a shout out to that. So I also see like at the bottom you could see red, orange, and yellow mostly of the rainbow, and then some. That's really all you could see. So you can also use that as the three. And red, orange, and yellow are all alchemical colors. That's the word I was trying to say. So it represents the rubido stage, the reddening and the burning off, and then eventually the purity. So it could have a little bit to do with that, with those colors, and that's actually what all the figures are on those. So it's like they're dancing on the rainbow, and it's really amazing. What else did you
Yeah.
want to say?
And you write about the Trinity actually also. Would you like to discuss the flower in the middle with the dove that's coming out? Last time I remember you said it looks like did you say the chakras? Is
Yeah,
that what you said?
it reminds me of the different chakras that you see, and it's great because you have that root at the bottom, and that's like the root chakra. And then as it comes
Mm.
up, I'm not like a master in all the chakras, but that's exactly what it reminds me of. And then if you look at the child, the top, the one with his hands around all this energy, it's actually like that's the crown chakra. That's the top. That's the knowledge, the wisdom, all that stuff.
But you know what's interesting about that? The chakra colours are actually flipped upside down on this plant because the crown chakra is actually blue, yeah? And should the red chakra is more basil, is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're correct with
So,
that.
so is that saying that things have been flipped upside down somehow?
It could represent that. It could also represent that you have to look at things differently or upside down. But it could also just be more of the way that they're trying to symbolize the colors and the way that they transform, because it's actually, it looks like it's the order of a correct rainbow, or what do they call it, a prism. That would be the order, right?
Yeah, 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 100%. And we noticed also the dove coming out at the top. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking with that, the sacred feminine energy coming out of the chakra energy. Like, I'm a bit confused. I'm a bit confused by what this could mean, to be honest.
Well, I
I'm
think that
confused.
this whole picture to me represents the balance the way it should be. So in the other pictures, we looked at what could be if it's if there's a too much masculine, right, in one, and then the other one was if there was too much feminine. So this one, it looks like there's a proper balance there. So
And all the animals are alive and they're not in cages. And
yeah, that's what I mean. All the animals are alive. You have one side it's desert, and then one side it's like lush plains and forest and stuff. But that's how it's
mm,
supposed to be. It's showing all the seasons, all the terrains of the earth. Like this is how we get things back in balance. And I think the key
and
is that you have to use the sacred feminine and masculine together properly in conjunction to create. And that's where the Trinity comes in, because of the sacred. You have the sacred feminine, and then the masculine comes along. It's that will. So think about the right side of the brain. You have uh let me get this right. So the creative right side
logic.
of the brain, right? Because
Is
the
it
left
logic?
is logical. Yep. So creative right side of the brain. See, everybody, we're learning too. Is the feminine aspect, because it's that creativity, it's the art, it's all the ideas in it. It's, if you think about the card, the lover's card, which I have right here, like lovers do. Ooh, ooh. So if you're looking at this card, you see how the guy is looking at the girl, and then the girl's looking up at whatever that is, the angel or the god. So for me, this is the feminine energy in us. The right brain has direct contact with creation, the creator, whatever it is. But since she's blinded by that, she can't create in the world because she can't stop looking up at the magnificent of it all. So now the guy, he's looking at her, right? And he's going, I'm going to help you. Whatever idea that you have, we're going to work together. I'm going to take my fire and you're going to take your knowledge that I have behind you and we're going to create positively in the world. And then that's what that mountain represents, the mound. It's the mound of the pregnancy. So, and it's just like the trilogy with the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. If you have the Father, the Holy Spirit, that's the feminine. They kind of written over that in Christianity, but if you put it together, it creates the Son who then goes out in the world with the message and speaks into the world. So that's what that represents for me. It's the harmony in the world. This is how things should be.
Well, I think you're spot on with that because also, if you look at remember the whale in the previous painting. Now they're back in the ocean and they where they should be, and they're jumping, and they look like the bird is free. The bird isn't in a box anymore, and the forest is in the background of the bird. So I think you're right with that. Where everything is how it should be. Everything is back in its place, and it's all working out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all working.
And I think that's more of what the message of this all is. When people want to look at it, all these pictures as like a negative or something that's bad, I think that it could just be an artist's representation of how he sees the world. This is one way it could go. This is the other way it could go. And this is what's going on now. So maybe the one where the picture of, let's see, I'll bring it up. It's the one of, with the shrine. So we have all the dead animals and the whale jumping in the background. That could be the representation of what's going on right now. And then if you go over, some people are how are they going to try to save this? Well, they're going to try to save this with the guy with the sword, right? They're going to use that sacred masculine or the masculine, but they're going to go overboard in it. And what's going to happen? It's going to create war. Look, you could see it symbolized in this picture. Okay, so what's the solution? Should we get use too much of the feminine? Let's try that. We'll bring up the other picture. Oh, well, what happens? Well, yeah, it looks like we have our world peace that we wanted, right? This guy's dead. We conquered him, but then we have socialism, communism. We have one world government of one, technocrats that say they could think they know what's best for you. It's a really scary road. So what's the answer? Then you must employ them both. And it brings us to this other picture where we have everybody living together in sweet harmony. The animals, the people, all the races, all the colors, all the cultures, everything. And why? Because they took the feminine and the masculine, and everything is in its proper balance, and it all emanates right from that center individual, that one person. All it takes is that one person to turn on their lamp and to turn on the lamps of the people next to them, and we can have a world like this. Yeah,
100%. There is one more photograph painting actually, and it's called the Torch of Quetzalcoatl. Don't know if you've heard of the Aztec.
Yes, I have.
God. But it's not coming up in this list, so I'm worried that we might have missed that. But if you wanted to have a look at that and go through that and just see, because the hard thing is I don't know what order these paintings are in the airport either, because I can't find chronological order for them on Bing. You know what I mean? Like.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. I found it though. Wow, yeah, that's pretty crazy. I'll bring it up for everybody so they could see. It's like with the guy with the American flag and all that stuff, wrapped around like in a circle.
Yes, it's like a giant circle and there's like three faces.
Yep, I got it.
You can see three heads, yeah, and there's a crow. I think it's a crow in there, and not a dove anymore. It's a crow. Yeah, this one is quite strange because it's got more death in there, skeletons in a coffin, and crying, children being torn away from their mom or the elders. Three faces on one head. Yeah, the crow. angry people. This one's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. I'm trying to find other pictures of it too because it looks like there's more to it. But I guess we could just that's all I can really find. I'm not spelling Quetzalcoatl right, but it should come up anyway. All right, so yeah, I what did you think about it? Like what were your initial thoughts on this? That's pretty crazy.
So the thing that struck me first was actually the name of the painting. I found that quite interesting. How he's calling it the torch of an Aztec god. I mean, I just wondered what you know. Like it was just a bit random to me. So that's what interested me first of all. And then obviously the shape of everything and the three faces. It's just absolutely crazy. With the three faces, it looks as though like kind of humanity's confused and doesn't know which way to look, and or even you could say that someone's got three faces and you don't know which one is the real one. There's so many different things you could take from it.
Yeah. Um so I think I kind of cracked the code here a little bit sitting here and this is very very synchronistic because this is something that I've actually just been talking about and it's been put on hold. I wanted to do like a little show or series or video about, and it's why I believe that history repeats itself, because everybody says history repeats itself, or some people, the smarter people, will say, well, history doesn't actually repeat itself, but it rhymes. So they'll say it rhymes, which is, I get it, so it kind of matches. But also, other people will say we're in like a whole cycle thing, kind of like the Matrix, and it just keeps going over and over and over again. But
Yeah,
so the reason that you can even say history repeats itself could be embodied right in this picture. And that's what I love again about symbolism, because if you look at the faces in the middle and then what's going on around, it looks like a cycle. It's a circle, and it's depicted that way. And circles are cycles. So, okay, if you look at what's going on the left, it looks like the United States is like beating up the this flag that's above it, and the flag is a red flag with a black eagle, so it kind of represents like the Nazis or
yeah.
any
I was
kind of totalitarianism government. I'm sorry, go
gonna,
ahead. What were you gonna say?
no, I was agreeing with you. The eagle looked very much like a Nazi symbolism to me. 100%. That's what
Yeah,
I got from.
it's definitely occulted symbolism, and it really just represents totalitarianism, so you can use it for fascism or communism, either one. So okay, so say you take the United States, and I love how if you look to the right of the US flag, you see the British flag really thin, and then to the right of that you'll see a flag with like the fleur de lis, and then like maybe a castle or something above it. You can't quite see. I don't know what that flag is. Do you recognize
Yeah,
that?
pretty hard to see that. Actually, I agree. It's pretty hard to work that one out.
All right, so what I will say is that represents the whole cycle of government. So if you look at the castle and the fleur de lis, that could just represent royalty. Back in the day, it represents kings, because that's what that flower symbol represents. That it represents royalty and kings back in the day. And then out of that sprang British, the British Empire. So you go from direct kings in monarchy, and now you have like an empire. So then you start to have a people, like people think they have a say, you have a parliament and stuff like that. And then
Yeah.
America breaks free from that, or did they really? And then next we got to count. Don't let me forget to count the amount of stars in the flag, because I'm sure that has something to do with it. So anyway, you have the American flag coming up, and then what's it doing? It's using all its might and its strength to punch that flag, the red flag of the Nazis or whoever it is. And then underneath, what's going on? If you keep going, it looks like all maybe the feminine is getting drained out of that society, and then it looks like the feminine's going evil. And then on the other side, there's like a split. You have the sacred feminine that's trying to take care of their children and run away, and then the other side's like the the dark feminine. So you have a split where, and it's not in harmony. So instead of the feminine energy being in harmony, it's at odds with each other. So that's what's going to lead to the other society, that feminine society. So maybe this is just his way to show how history is just repeating itself, because it's just going to crash again, and then we're going to start over with kings, and then back over and keep going over and over and over again. And then the three people, the faces in the center, I would just say that's kind of like you said, it's humanity looking and like, I guess, not knowing what to do, or just like blindly watching.
Yeah, and it kind of looks like with the three faces, it's just the front face looks like in shock. It doesn't look happy or sad. It looks shocked, right? Would you say?
Yeah, yeah. Like in horror, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. They got their mouths agape and things like that. Um, so I think you're spot on with that. Actually, I haven't even got anything more to say. So like that was spot on. I think you've cracked it.
Thanks. And I counted the stars twice so far, and it looks like there's 20 stars. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean to anybody, but yeah. I think another thing I could say is that the fact that all the strength is clothed in the American flag, and then the next flag is that totalitarian flag. It shows how, while trying to fight that flag, that's exactly what it becomes, because you don't see the American flag after that. You would keep seeing the American flag. This is what it turns into. This is what our system of government has turned into, is turning into right in front of our eyes. It's turning into that totalitarian. And then what's going to happen from there, you could see what's going to happen from there. So I think that is a really, really important lesson. And, we could look at this guy not as somebody who's evil and it's like Illuminati or occulted, but somebody's trying to put warnings out there. Maybe he's speaking to the subconscious of all of us, the left brain of all of us who could see this, but they don't want to listen. The right brain doesn't want to listen to that side. You get that cognitive dissonance, everybody.
I've
Yeah.
seen that a lot recently. Have you noticed also it looks like an eye, or is that just me? Like the whole thing, it looks like a blue eye with the faces as that, the
Oh
people.
yeah. Yeah. That and a yin and yang also. It's
Yeah,
just that
that's it
cycle.
does.
It's just showing that cycle, and that's what's going to keep happening. And I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say? I think we could wrap it up right here. I think we're at a good spot.
I think we could. Yeah, I've got nothing else more to say apart from he's a very clever and talented artist.
Yeah, yeah, he really is, and I love how he adds that message in there. Now we can decode it and put it out to other people, and hopefully they'll see their own message. And that's what symbols are all about, everybody. It's about seeing your own message, right? All right. Well, thank you, Kayleigh, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And if you would like to see more, go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. Get this out to the masses. Let people know. This is a sign of, it's kind of a sign of hope, but real hope. This is something we could strive toward. We can individually turn our own lanterns on, just like we saw in that picture, and affect the whole world. And there's nothing they can do to stop that, no matter how many guns they have. All right, everybody. I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.